Yo, 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 what up, Mrs. Z Nation, aka Savage on the Jones Giraffe? Welcome to another episode of Deck Building Wednesday. Today, we're going to have something a little bit interesting. We're going to be doing 3 deck profiles in one. That's right, 3 deck profiles in one. We're doing for my favorite nation, the Zoo Nation, as you can see right here. We're using the new Grade 3 from what was it? Clan Collection Volume 4. We're using Gunning Colio. And then last but not least, even though I know everybody's going to say, oh, well, why don't you just use Isabel? We're going to use Chatnor as a main grade 3 instead. So we're going to be using these 3. They're all going to be V Premium. Most of these are pretty cheap. I think the highest card right now, as far as price goes, is in Megacolony, which is a high class moth, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So I'm gonna just keep it frank with you. When it came to a couple of cards in each deck, I only have one copy of it, and because everything is like sleeved right here, I didn't really feel like taking them out of the sleeves just for this thing. So when I get to the card, I'm just going to replace it with whatever card I'm going to be putting in here. So just keep that in mind. I know it's going to be kind of lazy though, but it's whatever, bro. It's whatever. So honestly, I'm hoping that I can get to this as fast as possible, and hopefully I can dumb this down for like a lot of people, because I feel like that when it comes to all these deck profiles, I think the major issue is I talk way too much, and I know like not everybody wants to hear that. So without further ado, let's look at this Nectar deck. So as you can see, I'm using the new Grade 3, which is Deep Green Lord Master Wisteria. He has a pretty decent effect, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So obviously you have your starter. This is pretty much my favorite starter from like the V series. And then we're just gonna go pretty simple. We're gonna be running 4 heal triggers. Instead of using these old heal triggers, we're obviously using the heal guardians. Oh, actually I forgot, like the heal guardians sometimes might be like the most like expensive thing in the deck though, but it's only like maybe I think 3 or 4 apiece, so it's not super hard. So of course we're running a play set of heal guardians. If you want to, you could probably run like 3 and 1 regular, because this is a 20k shield. It's kind of hard to stop that. Then we're running 4 draw PGs, and then the rest are just gonna be crits. We're just gonna be running like 8 crits altogether. So it's not super hard. I was originally running like 12 with this though, but we got like a lot of jank stuff right now that's coming out at the moment. So it's kind of not really justified using the Sentinel crits at the moment. At like a full playset at least, at a full playset. But outside of that, man, we're just running 4 heals, 4 draws, 8 criticals. Moving on to the grade 1s, we are running, and I have to keep in mind that I have to keep like at least everything at a playset or 3 tops, because this is Nectar. We're running 4 of the grade 3 searchers. You already know, on play, search for grade 3. Secondary ability, it allows you to give 5k if you have 2 or more plant tokens. Then we are running Maiden of Sweetberry at a playset. Reason being is because like there's going to be like a lot of soul blasting, and we don't really have that many good soul chargers, so she's like the best one. So on the place on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, you can call a plant token, so it is a plant token generator. And if your Vanguard is at grade 3, you're able to soul charge 1. So usually, in my personal opinion, unless if you have to ride into this as a grade 1, I honestly would suggest not playing this card until your grade 3 turn. That way you're able to get the soul charge cost and everything else like that. Then we're running one of my favorite recent cards that came out, Made in a Flower Carpet. So it's also a token generator when it's placed on the Vanguard or Rearguard Circle. And like my thing I like about this card is in the drop zone at the end of your turn, You can sacrifice a plant token in order to put this card back in hand. Keep in mind that this is a hard once per turn, so you're only so if you have like all three of these in the drop zone, you're not able to, sacrifice three plant tokens to get all three in the hand. Bushiroad made sure that, so it's a hard once per turn, so you can only sacrifice one plant token to get one of these into the hand. And last but not least, our second thing that we're going to be replacing is not this card. It is actually Water Lily Roof at 3. Water Lily Roof is, I think if I remember correctly, this is the only countercharger we have in V Premium right now. I'm not too sure. I have to look that up just to make sure, but I think this is the only countercharger we have. So this is also a good card to place as like a grade 1, because on Vanguard Circle you get one plant token. However, if your opponent is at grade 1 or greater, you're able to get 2 plant tokens instead, which is actually pretty good. But if it's on the Rearguard Circle and you call a card from your deck and place on the Rearguard Circle, you can sack this card and then countercharge 1. It doesn't have to be a Musketeer, which is actually pretty good. I'm glad they make this very generic. So, in other words, like, this card is very good. Most definitely take advantage of this as much as possible. Even though you don't counterblast much, sometimes having a counter charger is better than not having one at all. Trust me on that one. So, yeah, that's going to be it for our grade 1s. So, yeah. Grade 1 lineup is pretty simple. They all token generate, which is a good thing, so we'll keep it at that. Now, for my grade 2 lineup. Now, originally this card at one particular point was $8, but I looked it up like 30 seconds ago, and it's back to like cents. So I'm kind of glad that this isn't like the most expensive card anymore. So this is Arbor of Dragon Timber at 4. The reason why you play this is because on the Vanguard Circle, he's able to generate a token, but he's able to generate a 10k token instead of a 5k token. But on the Rearguard Circle, he's able to generate a token on place. So that's actually the reason why I'm playing this out of play set, because 10k tokens are busted. I honestly believe that Bushiroad should make more 10k token generators, but that's just me. The 10k token is definitely going to be there for defense, unless you're going against something like Kagro that just blows your field up because it's an asshole, but whatever. Other than that, it's just a regular token generator. A lot better than Sylvia, in my personal opinion, so that's just me. Next up, we're going to be running a playset of Maiden of Fall Vine. I like this card. This card came out like around the same time of Clan Selection. It's only since as well. Basically, when you place it on top of a plant token, you draw a card and gain 5k to the end of the turn, which is actually pretty good. This definitely helps out, especially seeing as your field is going to be full of plant tokens and sometimes you just want to get rid of it. Plus 5k in a draw, you can't beat that because, obviously you're getting like hand advantage back, so that's actually good. And if I remember correctly, outside of the Heal Guardian, this is the most expensive card in the deck. Osmanthus Maiden Anima, aka Zhongling's favorite card, because Osmanthus wine. Anyway, on place on Vanguard and Rearguard Circle, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, draw a card, gain a plant token. But at the same time, if you have a card on your Rearguard Circle that's the same name as a card on your Vanguard Circle, everything gets on your Rearguard Circles gets boost. So you can basically put this in the back row, place a card that has the same name as your Vanguard in the back row, and then just boost with them, because that's actually pretty good in my personal opinion. And you kind of want her to survive on the field as long as possible. If you want to, you could, if you want to run a playset of this. I'm only running 3 because I wanted to lessen the counterblast / soul blast cost, because it is pretty hefty, especially in a deck like this. You could replace one of these with like one more of her though, but this is like the best, in my personal opinion, the best ratio. I don't know how everybody else feels, but that's just me. Last but not least, going to go into our grade threes, which are pretty simple. We are running a play set of Deep Green Lord Master Wisteria. When he's placed on the Vanguard or Rearguard circle, you counterblast one, discard a card, call 2 plant tokens, choose one of your rear guards, and search for a copy in a deck with the same name and place it into your hand. So even though you're discarding for like 2 plant tokens, you're still getting something back. And then the other effect is on attack skill is the reason why I wanted to make this deck around him in the first place. You Soul Blast one, you choose one of your rear guards, and every rear guard with that same name gains 5k. However, if he's on the Vanguard circle, it gains 10k instead of 5k. So obviously, if you have like a bunch of plant tokens, you use this particular skill, and you're able to give everything, all your plant tokens plus 10k. Not as good as Maiden of Panoli though, but it's actually a pretty janky card, which I like jank sometimes, so that's just me. And then we're gonna be running Asha's like favorite twin. I don't know, like you've seen her like team double Asha a lot. So Cornflower Flower Maiden Inez, when placed on the Vanguard or Rearguard circle, counterblast one, Soul Blast one. Look at the top 5 cards, call a card from it, and if you have a card with the same name on anywhere on your field, you get to draw a card, which is actually pretty good. But her second ability is the reason why you want to use this. Every time a card is placed on the Rearguard circle by a card ability, she gets plus 5k to the end of the turn, and that does stack. So basically you're trying to call as many plant tokens as you can, just so you can have that bit on particular effect stack, which is actually pretty good. Honestly, either one of these could be a main grade 3. There's no wrong answer. Like if you ride into her, you're not really minusing compared to if you ride into him. They both work well with each other in my personal opinion, so that's why I made them. So there's not really necessarily a main grade 3 because both of them are main grade 3s. They both work on Vanguard and Rearguard circle. They both have pretty good Vanguard abilities, and honestly, they work well together. They like bread and butter, my guy. So honestly, that's it for my Neo Nectar deck. I think that went pretty well. Next up, let's go to Great Nature. Now I know for a prime example, I know a lot of people are going to say, why in the hell am I not running Isabel? Now I am running Isabel, but it is a premium deck profile, and when I get like that straight, I'll probably do like a deck profile eventually. But for now, we're just gonna be doing Chatnor, because Chatnor is my favorite Great Nature unit. Like it was literally the very first triple rare that I ever bought in Vanguard in general when it came to old school Vanguard, which is why I like the card so much. Now it's not as strong as a main grade 3, which is kind of sort of disappointing because I was waiting for Chatnor for so long. But then again, I actually made this on my premium version of Chatnor, so I'm not going to go too much into that. Just like my premium Chatnor list, if anybody hasn't seen it, I'm also running Leopold in here. Leopold at the moment is pretty cheap. He's like about $5-6 at the moment. He's like under $9 at the moment though. But I was expecting it to go up because everybody was expecting Leopold reverse. But because we got Tester Fox and Researcher Fox, which is my favorite legion, basically top 3 best legions of my favorite ones. Because of that, you know, we probably not going to get Leopold reverse. But then again, they haven't released the 3rd card, so that 3rd card might be Leopold reverse. But anyway, at the moment, Leopold is going to be the most expensive card in this deck outside of the Hill Guardians. So with all that being said, let's get this started. You obviously got your starter. You got the 4 Hill Guardians. Let's put those proxies right here. There we go. 4 Hill Guardians. Now for the Sentinels, it's going to be 2 and 2. 2 draw ones, 2 Sentinel ones. I don't think you really need 4 draws in this because you're going to be decking out like a lot faster if you do so. Then we're running 4 more criticals, and then we're going to be running 4 fronts because for some reasons, front triggers and Great Nature works like white on rice for some reason. If you want to, you probably could replace one of these heal triggers for one more front. It's not really going to hurt it much, but that's only up to you if you really want to do so. So that's it. We're going to be running 4 heals, 6 criticals, 2 draws, 4 fronts. That's how we're going to do it. Alright, so then your grade 1, guess what we're going to be doing? We're going to be running 4 of the grade 3 searchers. Basically, you get the extra 5k if there's a card on one of your extra XL circles, which is actually pretty good. Then we're going to be running 3 of a card that should have came out in set 11, but no. Bushy wrote one to make it into a promo. Affiliated Linear, because you like to move it. Basically, when it's placed on the rear guard circle, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, you put the top card of your deck into the drop zone, and you Soul Blast. Oh no, you're not Soul Blast. You soul charge one if it's a normal unit, and you counter charge one if it's a trigger unit. I honestly feel like it should have been the other way around, but that's just me. Pretty good card once you're at grade 3. Again, that card definitely should have went out because Isabel would have had like at least a somewhat decent time when V-Series is a thing, but that's just me. Next up, we're running 3 Tapier Cat. When it's put into the drop zone, either from the rear guard circle or by getting discarded from the deck, you Soul Blast one. You can either give a unit 5k or you can draw a card. 9 times out of 10, you are drawing a card. There's no ands or buts about it. So that's just me. But if you want to get the 5k and retire it pretty early, then you're more welcome to. But yeah, this card is actually pretty decent. It kind of comes in clutch, and this did come in with Shatnor, so yeah, we're definitely running it. And then we're running a card that everybody has not seen since first wave Great Nature, Silver Wolf. It is a 12k. It becomes 12k base whenever, it becomes 12k in general whenever it's in the back row. So basically you're just using this to put in the back row of your Vanguard. If you want to put in the back row of one of your other rear guards, you could though, but I mainly use this to put it on the back row of my Vanguard. So that way my Vanguard is always hitting for 24 base. Because like the boost and whatnot. So yeah, we're running this old school tech. Leopold is an old school card too, so might as well run an old school tech with it. And last but not least, this card is very random, but it actually comes in clutch late game. It's called Solution 10 Red. Now it is a guard restrict to level 0s on your opponent's Guardian Circle if your drop zone has 25 or more cards into the drop zone. It's definitely going to get there. There's no ands or buts about it. So yeah, it's definitely going to become a grade 0. And then there are a couple of boosters here and there that's going to make it be very hefty. So yeah, this card is going to get hefty at the end game if you have the combo together. And basically, yeah, man, that's going to be my grade 1 lineup. It took a while to get like the ratios used to it though, but that's what I came up with for right now. You don't really have to run this card though, but it is a guard restrict, so I honestly would rather somebody run this card instead of run like one monochrome tiger, because that wouldn't make any sense. Then for the level 2s, we are running 3 Compass Lion. Okay, that's the old school Compass Lion. Let's get that proxy in. Let's go. This is 25 cent, but I haven't bought like another playset of this. But anyway, 13k base on Vanguard Rearguard Circle. At the end of your turn, you have to sacrifice a unit. That's the cost of it being a 13k base. Pretty simple, not really too much. Kind of sort of the grade 2 you want to ride into, so that's actually pretty good. Next up, we are running one of our boosters, Measure Fossa. On place on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, you counterblast one. Look at the top 2 cards, call one to your rearguard, superior call one to your rearguard circle, and put the other one into the drop zone. Then he has a soul charge ability. When he attacks, where you can give one of your rear guards 10k, but it retires itself at the end phase. So again, these two go together very well. Basically, if you have as many as you want to on the field, you just put all the 10k right here, and then this will become a big beat stick, preventing your opponent from guarding and whatnot. So that's basically the booster that I was talking about. Then we have Compass Lion. Compass Lion is again an old school tech. We're running them at 2 because we don't want to counterblast that much. But when he attacks, you counterblast 1, put the top card of your deck into the drop zone. You either draw a card if it's a normal unit, or retire a unit on your opponent's field, and you choose 2 of your units to get plus 5k if it's a trigger unit. It's actually a pretty decent card, pretty simple. Moving on, we are running 2 Blusher Prinkly, Peccary, you know, it's the stupid bird. Anyway, I cannot talk today. On place on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, counterblast 1, look at the top 7, get a grade 3 because you obviously have to get your grade 3s as fast as possible. Add it to hand, it gains 3k, but if it's on a Rearguard Circle, you retire it at the end phase. So yeah, pretty much you want to get at least 1 Chatnor or 1 Leopold onto hand as fast as possible, so we not only have the 4 grade 3 Surgers, we also have 2 of these. But again, we don't want to counterblast too much, so that's why we're only running 2. And last but not least, for the grade 2 lineup is a very underrated card. Our club member, Pennyord. So in a drop zone, you can put 2 normal units from your drop zone into your into the bottom of your deck by banishing this card from your drop zone, which is actually pretty good because like one of the things that Great Nature doesn't have is good recovery, especially for a deck that decks itself out pretty well. So this is as close to good recovery as we're gonna get, especially in premium format. I mean, especially in V premium. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the grade 2s that we have right now. And last but not least is the grade 3s, which are gonna be pretty simple. For Chatnor and for Leopold. Chatnor has the ability on Vanguard and Rearguard Circle. When she attacks, you counterblast 1, draw a card, put the top card of your deck into the drop zone. Depending on the ability, when it's a normal unit, you're able to choose 2 of your units and it gets 5k to the end of the turn. If it's a trigger unit, you can choose a unit from your back row, it gains 5k, and then at the end of the turn, you retire the units for both effects. However, if Chatnor is on the Vanguard Circle, regardless of which card it is, you still get both effects at the exact same time, which makes Chatnor very valuable. And then when you get to your second grade 3 turn, if your opponent hasn't died yet, then you get Leopold. Once Leopold is placed on the Vanguard Circle, his ability activates twice if you have a grade 3 in your soul, but you put the top card of your deck into the drop zone, and depending on what card it is, you get certain effects. If it's on the Vanguard Circle, you're able to look at the top 4 cards and call up the 2 cards as long as it's grade 2 or less, and put it onto separate rearguard circles. But if it's a trigger unit, he gets plus 1k and plus 15k to the end of the turn. I think the perfect number is to get 1 and 1. But if you get two of either one, then it's all right as well. Just make sure that you don't deck out because this is a pretty faster way of decking out, especially when you combined it with Measure Fossa because you're also superior calling from him as well. So yeah, basically the whole strategy of the deck is to go into Chatnor on your first grade 3 turn, try to get your opponent out, and if they survive, then go to your grade 2 turn, in your next grade 3 turn, and play Leopold and try to fill up your field right then and there. Because at that particular time, you would have like two Excel markers, so that definitely helps out a lot more than you think. So with all that being said, that's my chat word, Leopold deck profile, a blast from the past, I guess if you really want to call it that. It sounds very cheesy, I know, but cut me some slack, bro. Last but not least, my main clan, Megacolony. Alright, so this one is going to be more about focusing on the mill mechanic, but at the same time, it's going to be focused on using Master Beetle. And the reason being is because on place with Gun and Colio, he is able to get a triple drive and a possible quad drive, depending on what card is milled from your opponent's top card of your deck. Which means, and then not only that, you also have Master Beetle that has a minimum of a triple drive check if done correctly. So you're going to be having at least a minimum of a triple drive check every time you ride into a grade 3, which is actually pretty good. So with all that being said, let's get this started. You already know, man. We already have our thing. Our Heal Guardians. Well, let's get that thing. There we go. So yeah, we definitely. Oh, I got a flare. Yeah, glare. But yeah, our Heal Guardians right here at 4. We're running 4 of the draw PGs. We're running 8 criticals. All right, in my personal opinion, I'm gonna be real with you. If you want to, you can take out one of these criticals for another draw, because sometimes you kind of need that draw, but not really. But if you're not really feeling comfortable with this trigger lineup, then take out one critical and put it for a draw. It's not really going to hurt that much though. And I'm not saying that the deck has like draw issues, but the deck does discard a lot. So again, if you're not really comfortable with this, then obviously replace one with like a draw trigger. But that's just me. So four draws, 4 heals, 8 criticals. That's basically the lineup that we're going to be doing. All right, so for our grade 1 lineup, you already know, just like the last two, for the grade 3 searchers. This one gains 5k if your opponent has no standing rear guards. So there's that. Then we're going to High Class Moth. Okay, this card has been going up in price a lot. This card right now I think is at $9 minimum, and it's expected to go up more because of Order Colony. If you don't want to spend the 27-30 plus for this particular card, because I got this when this was literal cents. But if you don't want to spend like $30 on almost a play set of these, then the next best bet is to buy Butterfly Officer. You want to buy Butterfly Officer, even though she's not as good as High Class Moth. Something as far as countercharging go is better than nothing. So again, if you don't want to spend the $30 plus dollars for 3 of these, then replace it with Butterfly Officer. But that's just me. Then a card that's also slightly going up in price is going to be Brilliant Blister. Brilliant Blister is a very good defensive card. On the rear guard circle, if your opponent has no rested, if your opponent has all rested units, You get to return the card back to your hand. If you have 6 or less cards, after you return it back to hand, you draw a card. Which is that, I mean, you draw a card with a cost of a Soul Blast 1. Then, if it's placed on the Guardian Circle, after your opponent like attacked with their grade 3, you can discard a card and Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and rest it, and they cannot, under any circumstances, restand that card for the rest of the turn. It doesn't matter what effect allows them to restand at all. This overrides it very well, which is why I love this card so much. Honestly, I'm starting to like this a lot more than the original Brilliant Blister, but that's just me. Alright, but with all that, oh yeah, I forgot, this also counts as a grade 3. I forgot to mention that because I basically went right through it. But anyway, in the deck and also in your soul, this counts as a grade 3, and you can rest this card to choose a normal unit from your drop zone and put it into the bottom of your deck to the counter charge one, and choose one of your opponent's units and it can't intercept until the end of the turn. That's basically what this card does. And then we're going to have our finisher for the deck, which is Phantom Black. Been there since day one, my guy. So when it boosts this, you discard a card, which is why I said this deck discards a lot. You discard a card, it gains plus 6k, and then your opponent cannot call anything that is not a grade 0 from their hand to the Guardian Circle, which is actually pretty good. I like that card a lot. It's been there since day one, like I said. So obviously, this card is going to be wrecking everybody, especially if, because you already know, like, everybody's running Hill Guardians. The Hill Guardians are grade 3. So if it so happens that the card that you prevent your opponent from using on the Guardian Circle is a 0, and you use this particular card, it can't guard with anything at all. So that's basically the reason why we're running this card. You basically put an ultimate lockdown on your deck, on your opponent's deck, which is actually pretty good. And seeing that this is V Premium, that definitely means that they cannot use freaking G Guardians. So that's just me. On to the grade 2s. You're running a play set of Machine and Armor Beetle, one of the bestest boys. Basically, you can rest another rear guard, it gains 6k, and then you choose one of your opponent's units, rest it, and it cannot restand on their standby phase. And then when it's at rest, everything in the same column as this particular card loses intercept and loses boost and cannot gain any of those at all. So he's a pretty stonky boy. Alright, then we're going to be running Megacolony Lancer at 2. On the rear guard circle, when he attacks a vanguard, you can choose one of your units, put it into your soul, and your opponent cannot intercept, and it gains plus 2k for every rested unit, for every rested rear guard on your opponent's field. So if you're going against the XL clan, oh my god, you're going to be having a good time over this one. Next up, we are running 2 Elite Mutant Giraffa. Elite Mutant Giraffa on Vanguard and Rearguard Circle has the ability to counterblast 1 if your opponent has one or less one or less standing rear guard. You draw a card and he gains 5k for each rested rear guard your opponent has, which is actually pretty good. And then everything that's in the same column as his unit cannot intercept, which is another good thing about this card. So it prevents your opponent from intercepting, and it gains and it gains power up to the number of rested rear guards. So again, you're going against the XL clan, you're going to have a really fun time. Last but not least, we're running 2 Bloody Hercules. Bloody Hercules on place on Vanguard and Rearguard Circle has the ability to Soul Blast 1, and it gains 6k to the end of the turn. And then if it hits a Vanguard, You get the countercharge one, which is another countercharger that we have in the deck. However, it does have to hit Vanguard, so that's going to be a slight issue, but it does put pressure on your opponent, and it makes them at least try to prevent this card from actually hitting, which means that there'll be less cards from your opponent's hand. But because of the guard restrict from Gunning that will basically mean that this card has a higher chance of hitting, which is actually pretty good because you definitely need your counterblast. Last but not least, we're going into grade 3s. We're running a playset of Gunning Hold on for a second. There we go. Gunning on place on the Vanguard circle. Your opponent puts a top card in their deck into the drop zone. If it's a grade 2 or less, he gets +1 drive plus 5k. However, if it's a grade 3 or higher card, it gets a plus, and it gets an extra 10k, another drive into the end of the turn. So quad drive plus 15 if your opponent has a grade 3 or higher that came from the deck, and a triple drive plus 5k if your opponent has a grade 2 or less that came from their deck. Then if you have an extra grade 3 in your soul, for once per turn you can soul blast one. They have to mill another top card of their deck, and depending on the grade of that card, your opponent cannot call cards from their hand to the Guardian Circle for the rest of the turn, which the golden number is obviously 0, because then you get Phantom Black, and then Phantom Black will prevent them from only calling zeros, but since they can't call zeros at all, it's just basically a free hit, which is actually pretty good. I love that. I love this combo so much. This combo goes well together since like they first met. Then we're running our backup grade 3, which is Martial Arts Mutant Master Beetle. On the Vanguard and Rearguard circle, you can counterblast one. You choose up to 2 of your opponent's rear guards. They cannot stand. You can also force wrestle. But if it's on the Vanguard circle, this card gains the total of the original attack of both of those cards. And then on the Vanguard circle, you can counterblast one and discard a card when he attacks, and he gains +1 drive for every 3 resting rear guards on both players' fields. So let's say your opponent wanted to be a dick and don't have any rear guards on their field at all. Don't worry, as long as you have 3 rested rear guards, you can get a minimum of at least a triple drive check, which is pretty good, which is why I said regardless of who you run into, you will pretty much get a minimum of a triple drive check, which is definitely good. Now, even though this card isn't supposed to be put on the Vanguard circle, if all else fails, we definitely have to play this, but this is definitely a rear guard skill. We are running 2 Piercing Spear Mutant Dust Spade. When placed on Vanguard or Rearguard circle, your opponent, you can counterblast one, and your opponent mills 2 cards instead of 1. And as long as one of those 2 cards is a grade 1 or higher, this card has the ability of, when it attacks, your opponent has to put 2 or more cards minimum on the Guardian circle in order to guard it. So again, this also runs very well with Phantom Black. I like this card a lot. I kind of wish it did like a little bit more, and I kind of wish this didn't die out after, like, when the turn ends, but that's just me. But with all that being said, that is all 3 decks from the Z Nation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys Friday for the podcast. My name is Mr. Z Nation, aka Savage on the Junior Giraffe, signing out.